This week on ANN, Adventist humanitarians join in a call to end violence in Syria.
Portuguese and Spanish versions of the Creation movie premiere in South America.
And a food distribution project supports underprivileged families in Italy.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, the Adventist Church in Puerto Rico is challenging communication and tech professionals to look beyond church walls and local communities when sharing the church's message of hope and healing. Adventist leaders in the Caribbean island nation say a network of communicators empowered by the creative use of technology is key to expanding the mission and ministry of the church. At a recent event in Ponce, church communication leaders offered training on photo editing, web design, video editing, news writing, social media, and more. The event helped raise awareness of the role that communication and technology can play in evangelism.
The Adventist Church's television network recently launched a new channel in northern Brazil. Adventist media officials say Hope Channel Belém could reach a potential audience of 2 million people.
In the middle of the Amazon lies the city of Belém. It's an old city, established almost 400 years ago, but today it is being revived. Belém, a metropolitan center in the northern part of the Amazonian rainforest, is now providing Hope Channel to more than 2 million of its residents.
We can be sure that Novo Tiempo will help us spread God's message and that of the Second Coming.
Starting in the beginning of March, 3 celebrations marked a new start for this Brazilian city. The main focus was celebrating the 19th year of Hope Channel Radio in Belém and the 25th year of the radio station in Brazil. The streets in the city were closed off. Hundreds of cars, buses, and motorcycles shared the road with almost 10,000 people, all celebrating and raising awareness of Novo Tempo's arrival.
Not even the rain could stop these people from coming down to the streets to hear about Novo Tempo's arrival. This channel will make a huge difference in people's lives here, right?
A lot of people will learn about Jesus, will learn about his love for us, and will await his second coming, thanks to the Hope Channel.
To celebrate Novo Tempo's arrival, a fair was set up at the Hangar Convention Center. Local authorities attended the event to help welcome Novo Tempo.
Being able to watch programs with excellent quality through Novo Tempo, or even over the radio, is a gift. It is all done with excellent standards and with high priorities. I myself am a Hope Channel viewer and longtime listener of the radio station.
Adventist humanitarians in Australia are joining other NGOs to call on the Australian government to help end conflict in Syria. Adventist Development and Relief Agency representatives say they're horrified by the scale of human suffering in the Middle Eastern country. Ongoing civil war in Syria has displaced millions and taken the lives of more than 100,000 people. A Change.org petition launched by the NGO community is asking Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott and government MPs to stand with Syria by helping meet humanitarian needs, ending bloodshed, and supporting peace talks. The hashtag #WithSyria is raising awareness of the petition through social media.
The premiere broadcast of Portuguese and Spanish versions of the Creation movie drew television audiences of an estimated 25 million people across South America. The Creation, The Earth is a Witness, is a day-by-day account of the biblical creation week, beginning with darkness before God created light and ending with Moses, the author of the Genesis account of creation, and his son worshiping God on the seventh-day Sabbath. Adventist filmmaker Henry Stober spent 4 years filming the movie around the world. Television spots advertised the premiere for weeks leading up to the broadcast on Novo Tempo and Nuevo Tiempo. The launch of The Creation in South America came during a regional meeting of Adventist communication and technology professionals.
A food assistance project launched by the government of Ragusa in Sicily is now in the hands of the Adventist Development and Relief Agency in Italy. Azure volunteers are handling day-to-day food storage and distribution to families facing economic and social hardships. The distribution center is open 4 days a week and offers a home delivery service for the local disabled community. Azure Italy officials say the agency is active and well regarded in the region. Volunteers also offer Italian language courses for non-native speakers, prison ministries, and a Christian counseling program.
A documentary by a Bulgarian Adventist filmmaker will premiere at the Krakow Film Festival next month. The annual event in Poland is one of Europe's oldest film festivals dedicated to documentary, animated, and short films. Petya Nakova's film Roma Quixote documents the impact of Adventist humanitarians in a Roma village in western Bulgaria caught between modernization and tradition. Church leaders in Bulgaria say the film brings greater visibility to the stigma faced by members of the Roma community in Europe.
And finally in the news this week, the Adventist Church's only African-American university is again in the running to win a grant sponsored by the world's largest home improvement realtor. Alabama-based Oakwood University won a $50,000 grant last year during the Retool Your School contest. This year, they're calling on similar support from the Global Adventist family as they aim for the $25,000 Campus Bride grant. The same school isn't allowed to win the top prize 2 years in a row. Oakwood used last year's grant to build a picnic pavilion on the campus. This year, they're hoping to install park benches and plant trees on the section of a campus near the library. Determined by online votes, the contest is open to historically Black colleges and universities, schools that have primarily served African American communities in the U.S. Online voting runs through mid-April.
Coming up, the president of the Adventist University of Central Africa stops by to discuss a growing community of Sabbath keepers in Rwanda.
In a park one day, a man walked across and asked for some help. You know how these stories go. He and his wife and the teenage daughter, well, they'd been homeless for a while. They'd exhausted all of their resources. What did he want? A hotel and some food. He said, if it's not too much trouble. Whether we're talking about people who don't have enough food or shelter, or whether we call to mind some of the largest and most complex problems in our world today, there will come a time when God will say, enough. God will draw a line on all of this human pain and suffering. I take a lot of comfort in these words at the end of our Bible story when God says to humans, look, I'm making all things new. No more crying, no more tears, no more pain, no more death. That life is over. You can trust these words. I draw a lot of comfort from this reality that one day people will have enough food to eat. Everyone will lie down and sleep, and they'll sleep in peace, no more worry. Our bodies will work, our relationships will work, our world will work again. Seems like the homeless man, he knew something about this conviction. Before I left the park that day, he said, you know, it's not always going to be like this. God's going to bless us in the end, because that's what God does. Yeah, that's what God does.
Welcome back. Claude Richley has a preview of the April issue of Adventist World.
This week, the country of Rwanda in Central Africa is marking the 20th anniversary of the genocide, which took the lives of almost 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus. The church, of course, suffered greatly in that catastrophe. The article that is being featured in Adventist World in this month is an article that shows how the church was reborn after this event. I have with me the rector of the Adventist University of Central Africa, which has played a key role in helping the church be reborn. Dr. Abel Sebahashi is with me. Dr. Sebahashi, tell us how the university in Rwanda is playing a role in building up the church again.
The university is training pastors to help the church to grow, and it is reaching people from outside who have never been in the church. It is providing an Adventist philosophy of education, which is a value-based education centered on Christ. And now people coming from outside, they are coming to enjoy this special philosophy of education. Now, we have more pastors, and we are reaching people from outside. And now church is known within the government, and the windows and doors are opened widely for the church.
Thank you, Dr. Sebahashi, for joining me here. And for those of you who are interested in learning about this very, very fascinating story, go to Adventist World at www.adventistworld.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's turn to Alberto Tim for this month's feature from the White Estate.
Some people ask if Ellen White would qualify to be a theologian. Well, first we have to define what to be a theologian actually means. If theologian is somebody that really goes into deep technical study of the Bible, then Ellen White probably would not qualify. But if we consider from a different perspective, I think that she would be even more than a theologian. She uses a prophetic use of Scripture in the sense that she was able to come to the same model, close to the same model that the New Testament writers used, the Old Testament, with a little bit more of freedom. And I think that she has two great contributions that she was able to do for the theological world. First of all, she was able, as a prophet, to see behind the scenes what a regular person would not be able to do. And the second one, she has glimpses into the intentions of people. And this is something that we are not able to do. But she was being able to come up with it under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. So we have a rich mind of glimpses, truth, and even this great controversy framework in her writings.
This month's A&N book review comes from Science Publishing, based in Australia. Author Kylie Stacy has a preview of Playful Worship, a guide for helping young children experience the joy of worship at home and church.
One day I was sitting in my 2-year-old son's Bible class at church. Imagine 2 rows of little red chairs and all the mum and dad sitting behind. Some were reading, others were chatting together. My little son had no interest in keeping his bottom on that little red chair. I could see the teacher getting frazzled. I became embarrassed but unable to help him from where I was, and this continued week after week after week. I began to ask myself the question, is this what it looks like to teach our children about Jesus? It dawned on me that day that we needed a new way. So my husband and I decided to bite the bullet. We all plonked onto the floor together and worshipped together, and we started to call this Playful Worship. Parents are now experiencing the joy of worshipping with their children together. Imagine tickle songs, bouncing games, massage rhymes, cuddle songs, and lots more. The children benefit through the special bonding time with their parents. They catch their parents' enthusiasm, and they can enjoy all the songs and activities at home during the week. Children can sense for the first time in their lives the joy of worship. Parents, it's time to get out of the back row. Deuteronomy talks about how it's our role as parents to be that spiritual leader in our children's lives. And through Playful Worship, you can hop into the front row as we worship together.
Praise the Lord, all together now, praise the Lord.
Podcasts are helping Adventist World Radio reach a mobile generation with a message of hope and healing right from their smartphones and tablets. Shelley Nolan Friesland finds out more from Dal Chow.
Adventist World Radio is not just traditional radio broadcasts anymore, but in recent years we've gotten into podcasts where people can subscribe and listen online. What has the response been?
The response has been terrific, Shelley. Over 1.5 million people are downloading our programs from China alone. That is, people who go to our website, like the programs, and they subscribe to it. It's like subscribing to a magazine. You get it every month, every week in your mailbox because you like it. You pay for it. In this case, it's free. But people like our programs so much, they subscribe to them. We have counted now over 2 million people in China downloading our programs every day. The second country in the world is the United States. People living in America from all over the world tune into our website and access programs in different languages. So the United States is the second country in the world. The third country is France. Unbelievable, but Francis, fourth country is Vietnam. People from these countries speaking those languages are downloading our programs by the thousands every day. So the results have been extremely, extremely promising. This means that besides the traditional radio that we do, we now can reach people in their homes, while they're traveling, even on their cell phone, their smartphones. They can access Adventist World Radio and hear the message in their own language. For those of our viewers and listeners, we invite you to invite your friends to go to our website. Even though you don't speak the language they speak, they can still learn of the message by going to the website, because likely is that we have that language posted. We have over 100 languages to offer to all these people around the world. So the results have been terrific, a great blessing to the World Church, but also to all the communities living in every country of the world. We are so thankful because this method is reaching people otherwise we could not reach.
Still ahead, British missionaries bring the Adventist faith to Jordan.
But up next, involving kids in decision-making at church.
There is a garden in every childhood, an enchanted place where colors are brighter, the air softer, and the morning more fragrant than ever.
Of all life's seasons, childhood is the most beautiful.
Children are the living messages we send to a time we will not see.
Blessed indeed is the man who hears many gentle voices call him Father.
A child can ask 1,000 questions that the wisest man cannot answer.
When I approach a child, I have two thoughts: affection for what he is today and respect for what he can become.
There are no 7 wonders of the world in the eyes of a child. There are 7 million.
Children are 1/3 of our population and all of our future.
He called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me."
Welcome back. Children's ministry leaders can help groom the next generation of Adventists by empowering young people. Linda Ko explains.
There's no greater investment in the future than in our children. In order to create leaders within our church and the community, we need to empower our children to realize their full potential and to use their God-given gifts and talents for service. How could we do that? Well, we need to teach them and show them how. Especially, we need to give them opportunities to be involved in the life of the church, such as maybe getting the kids to read the Bible, say a prayer, lead in a song service, and participate in worship. And this is one way we can get them to be involved. But we need to also allow them to be decision makers in our church programs and in activities. You know, if we enable them to make some plans, execute those plans, and guide them along the way, we are empowering them. Another way is we can train and involve them in serving the community through a variety of projects in which they themselves can decide to do and to plan. Yes, when we empower our children, we give them confidence, skills, and opportunities to be the people they are meant to be by the Lord.
The website Font Squirrel collects public domain and open source fonts for free download. On this week's Tech Corner, John Beckett explains how you can use this resource in your ministry.
By now, most people understand that you can't legally use just any picture that you find online in documents, presentations, and websites. It needs to be declared by the owner as free to use or a license purchased. What may come as a surprise is that the same is true for fonts. Just because you can find and install a font from the internet doesn't mean it's okay to use it in documents that you create. If you want to add fonts to your computer, a great starting place is fontsquirrel.com. This site has a large collection of font styles, and it has links to their original sources and a copy of their license and usage restrictions. Many of the fonts on this site are available to be used for free. To install a font on your computer, visit fontsquirrel.com. The fonts there are sorted by a variety of different styles and formats. When you see an interesting font, I recommend reading the License tab first. If you find the license acceptable, click on the Download button. Once the font's downloaded, open it up and choose to install it. Some fonts come with a variety of styles that you may want to install. Once the new font is installed, restart your word processor or presentation software to see it as a choice. A great font can be a key piece to a well put together presentation, and Font Squirrel can help you find a free one that can work for you.
Now let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, British missionaries in Jordan helped organize the Middle Eastern country's first Adventist church.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On March 31, 1947, Canadian Junior College was accredited to offer bachelor's degrees in the area of theology, and its name was changed to Canadian Union College. Known today as Canadian University College, it offers a wide range of college degrees now and has over 500 students. On April 1st, in 1875, the Pacific Seventh-day Adventist Publishing Association was organized in Oakland, California, with John N. Loughborough as the first president. This had happened after West Coast Adventists had raised $19,414, equivalent to over $400,000 today. It was the second Seventh-day Adventist publishing house and the forerunner of today's Pacific Press. 26 years and 1 day later, April 2, 1901, was the first day of the 34th General Conference session held in Battle Creek. This session saw the most significant reorganization in Adventist history, which was partly prompted by Ellen White's address on April 2nd, when she urged, "God has not put any kingly power in our ranks to control this or that branch of the work. There must be a renovation, a reorganization." And also on April 2nd, but 25 years later in 1926, British missionary George Keogh baptized 12 people in the River Jabbok in what was then Transjordan, the first Adventist baptism in today's country of Jordan. Keogh then organized the country's first Seventh-day Adventist church in the town of Es Salt. That was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, find us on Facebook. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide and find links to more stories, photos, and videos. Just visit Facebook/Adventist News.
Our good news for this week comes from Jeremiah 29, verse 13. The passage says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all of your heart."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.